Hey guys, welcome back to another weekly developer diary. So, for this week, I've got a couple pieces of pixel art I've made to show you, as well as the results for the Game Maker's Toolkit game jam that me and a couple friends entered. So, I'll show you the pixel art I've been working on, and then I'll go through the results for the game jam. So, first of all, as you can see, that's the player character I made a few weeks ago. Here is the first pixel art I made this week. It's a dinosaur. It's a patchy Cephalosaurus. Which are basically these, they're smaller dinosaurs that have these big, like, cranial bone skulls that they'd headbutt each other with, similar to, like, a goat, for example. So, for this, I tried to give it quite a nice, like, obviously not realistic, like, pattern and colour palette, which I think looks quite nice and helps it fit into the fantasy setting. I also added these little dashes, as you can see when I zoom in, these darker dashes, to sort of create the illusion of like a scale texture. I think it works quite well. I think I might want to experiment with other textures just to see what they look like. But I'm definitely want some sort of like scale looking texture, and I think this works for now. And as you see, it's also got this like around its like dome like skull. It's like a bone skull. It's got these little like spikes coming out, which I think look quite nice. So all in all, I'm quite happy with how this pixel art came out. I think the only thing I'd want to change is maybe make its underbelly slightly darker, just to show like um that it's, well, under it, so it's going to be darker because not as much light's getting there. Which is something I ended up doing on the next pixel art I'm going to show you, which is this Triceratops I made. And as you can see, just like scale-wise, it's a lot bigger than the Patchy, and as you can see, them both scaled compared to the player. So, with the Triceratops, I did the same thing with the Patchy, which was adding these little dashes to create like the illusion of like scales. But something I also wanted to do was give it a more dynamic like battle pose. As this Patchy, I wasn't sure if this was gonna, if I wanted this to be like an enemy on like a mount or just like a random creature. Although I think it will probably will end up just being like an enemy that you just end up fighting. But I wanted to make sure this had a very like dynamic pose. So I thought by having like one of its feet be lifted off the ground, having its mouth open, like head pointed at the player, it looks like it's about to like charge at the player or attack them. And I think it came off really well. And you see it's got all these little bony parts coming out of its frill, and I've added these little like darker patches as like a pattern just on its frill, along its back and on its tail. I also did what said I wanted to do with the Patchy, is darken the underbelly, and I also darken the neck because the frill ends up covering it. I think the only thing I'd really want to change with this is I feel like I might have went a bit overboard on making the underbelly dark. I think I might want to lighten it up around this bit and around like this leg, for example. But I think it looks quite well, and I'm quite happy with how these two came out looking. So the final pixel art I've been doing this week, it's still a work in progress, but I started creating a wolf. So this is just like a basic like outline with like seeing how like fur textures would end up looking. I think something I'd want to change to this is definitely giving this a more dynamic pose, because this is a very like boring pose, just stood there, feet together, mouth closed. I think I'd want to make it either maybe like mid jump, although if it's just frozen mid jump, that might look a bit weird. I think something I'd like is if I have it like its head down here, sort of like barking up at the player, like growling at the player with like its mouth open. I think that could look quite good. But I just thought creating a wolf would fit in a fantasy game because I mean there could be wolves anywhere. And the wolf is quite big compared to the player. However, I thought it still fits because something I do like about having a fantasy like otherworld setting is you can kind of do you have pretty much complete creative freedom, which is quite nice. So as you can see, it's quite a big wolf. So I also might want to change that. Oh no, I'm not very happy with how this wolves came out. It's still a work in progress, but I'm definitely happy with how these two like dinosaurs ended up coming out. Because I just thought I was having a bit of artist block, and I just didn't really know what I wanted to create. So I thought I like dinosaurs. I'll just create some dinosaurs because those will fit in the game fine. So I just ended up creating two of my favourites, and I think they look pretty good. So other than that, I've got the results for the Game Maker's Toolkit Game Jam, which out of 5,800 entries, we came as 2,028th, which I am quite happy with. We got in the top half, and for three pretty much rookie amateurs, because I mean we're all just students, for three amateurs, I think getting in the top half, almost top third, is pretty good, and I'm quite happy with that. Obviously, the game isn't perfect by any means, and some of the comments are constructive criticism, but I agree with them. I think the game. I don't think it was perfect. I think it had room to improve. However, I think for 2 days between three amateurs, I think it's pretty good. I'm quite happy with how it came out. And then it was quite nice just seeing all these comments of people saying, you know, it's a cool concept, or just saying like, I think I'd change this, and just getting a lot of feedback was quite nice. As the other game jams we entered, we'd only really get like 3 or 4 comments per game, whereas this we ended up getting quite a lot of feedback, which was quite nice just to see. It just brings a smile to your face, you know, someone giving you like good feedback on something you've worked on. But yeah, other than the pixel art and the results, that's all I've got to show you for this week. So as for next week, I just want to create some more creatures and enemy designs basically for the strategy game I'm going to end up making in my third year. Because my thought process is, although I want to create some games for my portfolio this summer, I think it's also a good idea to get some of the workload of my third year project out of the way over summer. So by getting, say, some of the music and the art done over summer, I think that'll make it a lot easier in my third year. And also, the more pixel art I create, the better I'm going to get at it. So it just stops me getting rusty as well, which is good. But yeah, I think that's everything. So, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all next week with whatever pixel art, programming or music stuff I do over this next week. Alright, so see you guys, and peace.